Hey guys, how are you? My name is Cynthia. I am here to talk with you guys about my TOEFL exam. I am Brazilian, I'm Portuguese native speaker, and I've just taken the TOEFL. I had the score I dreamed about, which was 100. I had to create my strategies to achieve this TOEFL score. So if you need a TOEFL score as high as 100 or more, maybe you're gonna take advantage of the things I'm gonna say in this video. So let's go! Today I'm here in San Diego. I've been living here for approximately 7 months. I came here for studying English as a part of my plan to my education here in the US. So the first thing I decided to do was the TOEFL because I thought that will be the easiest part of my whole plan. After that, I will take my boards, I'll have to take a lot of serious exams, and say I have already taken the TOEFL other times and it was not that difficult. I'll be there speaking English every day, so my English will get better than my English was when I was living in Brazil. So yeah, let's start by the TOEFL and then I will go to my next steps. After approximately 2 months and a half living here, I took the TOEFL. I knew that maybe it was really soon for me to get the score I needed, which was 100. But I really felt that I should have the experience of taking the test. You know, that's a very different experience of what we deal with in the daily life. Talking to the computer is not the same as talking to your friends or talking to your teacher. Writing with pressure time is not the same as writing in your home with your own computer. And also you have to read those tests, also you have to listen to those questions. It was really good to have taken the TOEFL by that time for 2 reasons. First, I got used to the experience of taking the exam, which is really important if you need a high score. Those who need a high score maybe are gonna take the test more than once. We have to get used to that atmosphere. And the second reason was that actually it was more difficult for me than I thought it would be. I had already taken the TOEFL a couple of times before, back in 2006, 2010 and 2013 because of other objectives that I had. But as you guys know, the TOEFL exam expires after the 2 years. So as it's been more than 2 years that I had taken the TOEFL by the last time, I had to take it again. Okay, what I didn't expect was that I would have a lower score than I had the 3 times before. I thought after studying English for 2 months and a half, I will have best score. Maybe it was not gonna be 100, but it was gonna be 90 something. Well, it turns out that I had the score of 85. And I got really upset because, hey, one of the times I took the TOEFL, I took in my country. I was not studying English at all, and I had 88. And that time I'm here almost 3 months and I had 85. How can that be possible? People in my school talk to me, hey, don't worry, the TOEFL is getting more difficult, it's getting harder because people are getting inside university with a lower level of English, so the university are complaining with the ITLs that they should have a more difficult exams. So what I felt was different was the texts were bigger, we had to manage the time with more pressure, maybe the issues were also harder, the scientific lectures that we have to listen. So yeah, I was not expecting that, and I already knew that maybe I will have to take the TOEFL again. What I didn't know that I will have to study that hard for the TOEFL. Besides going to school every day, I had to study by myself at home. Sometimes during the whole afternoon, sometimes during the night. It's always gonna depend on your time, on how much time you have available. I heard this statistics one time that for each point that you wanna increase your score, you have to study for 8 hours. So if you wanna increase your score for like 10 points, you have to study for about 80 hours. It depends on how many hours you can study per day, per week, or per month. I thought that's my objective for now, so I will study very hard until I get there, because the gap of the points I needed was 15 points. It was too much for me to not study and think that I will achieve that. What I did was I asked for extra material on Stafford House and they gave me extra help, which was really helpful. I had trouble with reading. I was never a fast reader. So when it comes to TOEFL, you have to read fast and you have to manage your time. So I started to read books in English. I started to read magazines, articles, journals, whatever came to my hands, I was going to read. I bought some books on Amazon. What really helped was also study vocabulary, because sometimes when you don't know the word, you really have no idea what they are talking about. I encourage you guys to read a lot, to study vocabulary. I didn't have notebook before. I started to have my own notebook where I would take notes. And also you have to make an effort to use those words, because if you just write down the meaning and you don't use it, 2 or 3 days later you don't remember and it's not yours. But if once you use it, it becomes part of your vocabulary. And with the reading, I started to read everything. Suddenly what I realized that the reading type I needed was TOEFL reading type. Scientific lectures, history lectures, and those kinds of questions. I really encourage you to focus on that kind of test and those kinds of questions. You have to know what kind of questions are you gonna be confronting on the exam. You have detail questions, you have inference questions, you have attitude questions. All of them are different in the way you have to think about the answer. It's really, really important for you to recognize which kind of questions are in front of you, so you can decide which way of thinking you have to pick to find the answer. The same happens to the listening. You have different types of questions. For some of them, you are supposed to think about what you heard. In some others, you have to imply something, you have to infer something. So it really depends on what they are asking for. These 2 parts were more difficult for me, especially the reading, because of the time. If I read like unlimited time, I would not have problem on answering those questions. But once I confronted a little bit more difficult question, I would stay a lot of time on that and I would not have time for the others. What I realized was that if I am losing too much time on one question, just pick whatever seems more suitable for you and just move to another one. Otherwise, because of one question, you're gonna lose the time of answering like 2 or 3 or maybe 5 questions. Listening, if you don't answer fast and move to the next question, sometimes you don't have enough time to go through all those questions. That happened to me in the first exam. Speaking and writing was not that problem for me, because once you have those templates, you're gonna succeed. That's what I really think about the TOEFL. TOEFL is much more about structure than about English. Sometimes we see people that don't have that good English who succeed in TOEFL more than those who have a good English but are not fit on that structure. If you need a high score, you really need to go through those templates. And what I mean by templates is that the speaking part has 6 tasks and the writing part has 2 tasks. For each one of them, you have the correct way to answer, to build your answer. Some of them have to start with, according to the announcement, it says that it's gonna be a change in the university. The opinion that someone holds about that is blah, blah, blah. If you follow that structure, it's halfway already. And the other part is that you have to understand very well what they're talking about. You have to take your notes and you have to speak clearly about that. If you are not succeeding on your training, maybe you're gonna need a little bit of more time doing that. What I did was I studied for more 3 months. I had taken the TOEFL in January and I took it again in April. By the second time, I got the score I needed, which was 100. I got really excited, really happy, because I had already taken one time, I didn't succeed. But that time I was really confident. I was able to do whatever I needed with those questions and writings and speakings and listenings. And yeah, of course, it was delighting for me to see that score on that report. I came running to my school. I was excited to tell everyone, especially the people who helped me, my academic advisor, my teacher, and all my classmates. I ran there very happy with my husband, and we gave them the perfect news. Of course, I wish that I had 120, 115 or whatever, because I heard that there are people who have that score, but you know, I was really satisfied with mine. I had to study very hard to take that one. And I encourage you guys to do the same. If you need a really high score, you should go through all those steps, get extra material. Don't stay only with your English during the morning. If you don't attend English school, you have to practice by yourself, practice in front of the computer. Get into an empty room, only yourself and the computer. You have to speak to the computer. I used to speak by myself. I used to speak about those speaking tasks while I was going to my school, walking on the street. I used to record myself on my phone, which is really helpful too. So you can go through your mistakes, and next time you do that same kind of speaking task, you're gonna do a better job. Yeah, I know it's hard. I know it takes a lot of time and effort. Sometimes you already speak English very well. You are not willing to care that much with structure. But what I say is that TOEFL is much more about structure than about English. Even if you don't have very good English, don't worry, because having the structure is gonna help you to succeed with the TOEFL. I hope you guys find these tips useful for you to succeed in your TOEFL. I'm gonna leave my email in case you have any questions. I will be happy to help you. I am very thankful for all the people who helped me with my TOEFL, including all those teachers. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye.